Howard is trying to meme on a guy.
Todd Howard?
It just works. I mean,
Does it?
yes.
Are you sure it just works? Because I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
I saw Starfield. I'm pretty sure it does not just work.
I
That
think
game is
that's
gonna get
gonna work,
fucking super abused.
but, like, Fallout 76 didn't just work.
No, no, it didn't, and it still kinda barely works.
Neither did Skyrim on PS3. Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast. This is OmniObscurium. Today we're talking about Skyrim.
Yeah, it's the great rim in the sky for Sovngarde.
Or Sovngarde. Now, I think most people who watch the entirety of the podcast are going to know I am a massive Elden Ring, or not Elden Ring, Elder Scrolls nerd, but I don't like the games.
Which is funny because I couldn't give a shit less about the Elder Scrolls or its lore, but I love playing and killing time in them.
Oh, see, that's my issue. I find them boring.
Man, I feel like that's really only an argument that speedrunners make about the Elder Scrolls games.
Ooh, that's a good point. I do like to break games, and they tend to be
Easily exploitable.
because even like the
E
Fallouts, I would easily exploit them to a point where like my weapons would do infinite damage and things like that.
Stack luck 10, get constant criticals, never miss in VATS.
Yeah,
Like,
stuff like that. Skyrim, man.
Skyrim.
I mean, I think it's a very white and blue game. Like,
You either really love it or you really fucking hate it.
see, I don't either. I'm very like whatever about it.
I I think that's what we have to add to the conversation, right? Is we both think it's fairly average as far as games go.
I think the people who super hate it because there's people who super like it, and that dichotomy overhyped it.
Right, their whole personalities between each other at that point is just hating Skyrim for the sake of it or loving Skyrim for the sake of it.
Facts.
Right.
There's a lot of
Skyrim, let
things.
me give a little bit of trivia before we start getting all personal and shit about the game. And Skyrim came out in 2011, has been re-released like a billion times. You don't get to see Todd Howard's magical curly hair, but you do get to see dragons for the first time in the Elder Scrolls series at that point. Everybody's played Skyrim. Everybody's seen Skyrim. I don't need to tell you the story. You already know the story.
What's the story?
Dragons come back. You are dragon-blooded creature. You must kill dragons. End of story.
I see.
I don't know why I
Whoa.
actually.
Sorry, I had a video play on my end for no reason. That scared the shit out of me.
He rickrolled himself.
Rick rolled him in the last episode. um, there are things to the Skyrim, to Skyrim that I do really enjoy, like the voice acting, the anti-linearity it can have. But not only that, but like I like unmarked quest lines, and Skyrim seems to do them very well.
Shoutouts to the Headless Horseman unmarked quest. One of the most difficult quests in video game history. Based solely on the RNG alone, it's almost impossible to start.
Facts.
You could search for hundreds of hours, only come upon the Headless Horseman like once.
Facts. I think I only ever came across him once.
Right? And it's interesting just how much detail they put into Skyrim's open world rather than their main quest or quest lines.
I think
The
they
quest
were
lines are kind of bare bones.
I think they were banking on that though.
Yeah.
But at the same time, and this is rather personal, I don't feel that Skyrim is a lived-in world. It doesn't feel like it to me. Only because we were just talking about Dragon's Dogma. I don't see like trailheads and trails and roads being frequented with like merchants and traders and people moving goods.
You kind of see like the Royal Guard, the Aldmeri Dominion Guard taking prisoners once in a while. You'll run into maybe a random somebody for a random encounter, but like as far as like walking around in the big world goes, NPCs don't travel between places a lot.
Right.
In contrast, the Fallout series did a really good job of that.
Yes, they
Mercs
did.
travel around a lot. NPCs go from city to city in certain instances. There's a lot that's going on in Fallout that Skyrim did miss the mark for. It's funny because it's not even their main series, right? Like Fallout is the sister to Bethesda's very beloved Elder Scrolls.
Right. And I know you always praise this game because of its random encounters and things like that, and I think you're 100% correct. But it always to me just felt feigned. Like, where did you come from? Why did you come from there? I never see anybody. It's literally a ghost town out here, and then all of a sudden I'm jumping through the woods, and you just come out of nowhere, and you're like, "Hurry, come with me!" Like, how, you don't even know who I am.
Break the law on my watch.
And they'll just chase you forever. I don't get it. I'll be real. I don't get it.
It's not very human.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's not very natural. It doesn't flow very well. That is definitely fair. Like the world in size and scale, sure, it's great. But like the way it comes together is a broken and very digital mess. When you play the Elder Scrolls, one thing that you really can't do for yourself is get too immersed because the game does a finite job of fucking breaking the immersion at every possible turn.
Yeah, I mean, just the sword combat alone breaks my immersion. I feel like, okay, have you ever played the Dragon Dungeons and Dragons on like Amiga?
Yeah.
I know I'm old, but where you would stand in the middle of the hallway, push forward, it would move you one cell forward, and then maybe something would come around the corner for you to swing your sword at.
Super classic dungeon crawlers.
Right.
Might and Magic was like that. Stone Keep. There was there's one more that I'm thinking of that
Gothic?
I names. Gothic was a good one. There was one that Legend of Grimrock came out in 2011 or 2010, and that was really good.
And that was like the same thing.
Right.
I feel that way when I play Skyrim.
It is. It is exactly that, but with like a couple of extra things stuffed in.
The only thing I enjoy doing in Skyrim is archery.
Which is funny because there are so many people who totally disagree with you. Archery is like the biggest pain in the ass for a lot of people. I'm on your side. I love archery, but I've actually had this conversation before many a time where some other people are like, "But it's impossible to fucking hit anything with the arrows," and I'm like, "No, you're wrong. Just learn how arced weapons work."
Right. And archery really defined my experience. I started a new game. I was a Nord first, then I became a Wood Elf, and I focused completely in acrobatics and archery. And I had a really good time breaking the game, stealthing, where I feel like Skyrim wasn't meant to be played. So getting to fight dragons and stuff like that actually just sucked. It actually wasn't fun. The most
A
fun I
lot
had
of
was stealthing.
a lot of the stuff that makes up the worlds of the Elder Scrolls, not just Skyrim. This is something that I see even going back and playing Morrowind is that it's kind of a satire on itself.
Oh yeah.
They definitely know what they're doing with the world, right? They know that this is exactly what it is, that it's very stilted in the way that it handles itself. But also, just because it's a joke doesn't mean it's a funny joke,
Right.
right?
Dragon's Dogma
I'm of the
jokes were
opinion
funny.
like, yeah, I'm of the opinion like you want to tell a joke, that's fine. Some people will find it funny, other people won't. I'm one of the people who cannot get behind the humor in Skyrim specifically. Morrowind had better humor. Even then, though, a lot of things that happen feel forced. It's a satire on itself, in that like it is very well aware that the world that it's presenting to you is incredibly fictionalized. There's not even
Absolutely.
natural interaction between you and other people.
I mean, there's so much to get into with this, that alone. I mean, the moons are dead gods. The Dwemer just disappeared and magically created a completely different species because
The
that's a
Falmer
thing.
became walking zombies.
The Falmer became walking zombies. The Falmer were made by the Dwemmers. They were once snow elves. Like, okay, but this is all like sub story, and you could have a really cool
Talos
conversation here.
somehow became a divine.
Talos somehow became a divine. Like, there's just a lot, and there's lacking philosophy, lacking psychology. The art direction's fine. I like the art direction.
A good
Even
word for Skyrim, lacking. You go back to a game like Morrowind, and even as far as like basic psychology throughout lore books goes, it's so much better. The story of Morrowind is written in such a way that you can take away a lot of perspective from it. But in Skyrim, you don't have that. You have Nord fights dragon.
now
And
go
I hate
stop a
that
civil
guy,
war.
but yeah. Go stop a civil war that's not yours, so you can go fight a dragon that you had know nothing about. So you can to do what? How do these things affect the world of Skyrim after like you end the civil war and that doesn't change anything between the Empire and the Stormcloaks. Like the Empire is still going to attack the Stormcloaks even if you push back General Tullius. That never changes. You push back the Stormcloaks, the war ends. What? The Empire takes over Skyrim, and it's the exact same province that it still is. Nothing changes.
it, it goes even further than that for me, because playing something like Dragon's Dogma first, I would run out into the wild and there'd be a bunch of guards fighting a griffin, and they're like screaming for you to help them, but they're just doing their duty. In Skyrim, I very, very rarely, if ever, see Stormcloaks fighting anybody, or they're actually being war waged. I never see anything.
The beginning of the game, escaping Helgen Keep, and the very end of the game, when you're ending the uh, fucking civil war in Windhelm, you'll see them fighting with the Imperials in very small numbers. It's not It's not a big prominent thing. The Civil War does not need to exist in Skyrim. Just gonna put that out there.
But it
That
could.
whole it could very well exist and it could be done better, but the way it's written, it could also not,
Also,
and it
how
would be
is it
the
a
exact
civil
same.
war?
It's not, there's nothing civil about it. A guy fucking in cold blood killed his emperor because he thought he was rightfully the emperor. So the empire came down on him.
Were they just like
Okay.
parroting 1776 America?
It was revolution for nothing. I think they were parroting actual Viking mentality
Oh,
because Vikings conquered for the sake of conquering.
parody is in Parity, not Parody. Just want to be clear.
Yeah.
Because the Civil War could have been this like really cool in-universe conversation. Like NPCs could have reacted to your armor and gotten angry about it. You could have been thrown out of villages for wearing armor. Having
Where did damage go? What happened to your weapons and take and armor taking damage?
Oh yeah, that's a huge one.
Like
I mean,
how do
that's a
you
mechanical
regress so
thing.
hard?
It's just I'll never forget, because I played it in high school, right? And everybody was talking about Skyrim. And I was the only one that was like, I don't see it. I just don't see it.
I didn't see it. It's just you look at the Elder Scrolls and you see a series that regresses from beginning to end. They start out with so much. And then slowly over time, the games lose bits and pieces of what made the originals so good. Everything up to Morrowind, good ass time. And then you can see the clear drop off in Oblivion where they started taking out mechanics and they started taking out quest lines and they took out a bunch of books. They stopped focusing so heavy on the lore and the world because it was all about the Oblivion gates.
But Oblivion was good.
Oblivion was good. Yeah, that's just it, right? But it was also the end of a good it was also like the beginning of the end. Because you get to Skyrim and a lot of the good mechanics are gone. Things like weapon durability, mixing alchemy to extreme exaggeration. Like there's a lot that just left when they
Does,
got to Skyrim.
does Skyrim have spell crafting?
I I don't think so.
Because I remember doing spell crafting in Oblivion. And that was super fun.
There is not official spellcrafting. There is a mod for spellcrafting.
That is sad.
It's little things like that. They just progressively regressed. And that's ultimately the downfall of the Elder Scrolls for me. Like I couldn't give a shit less about Skyrim. I'm just like it's a 5 out of 10. Could not give a shit less about Skyrim.
Mine's a 5 out of 10 as well. It is, I don't know what it is. Like the fact that Skyrim is on literally everything, everybody. Like you need to understand is like Resident Evil 4 and Skyrim are like tied for most releases of all time.
The difference between those games is Resident Evil 4 knows what the fuck it is.
Facts.
It's a game that you can play through from beginning to end and understand. It's a game that doesn't lose anything from its previous games. It builds on to what it had.
Right.
Skyrim goes backwards. From 2006 to 2011, Skyrim does a lot to go backwards. It's
Definitely
really not that
mechanically.
great.
And we should probably preface we're talking about mechanically. Graphically, it's beautiful. World design, it's beautiful. Whatever.
Graphically, it is dated.
It
But
has
Skyrim
dated.
Legendary Edition, Skyrim Anniversary Edition does a lot to make the
Oh,
graphics look
cool. I
better.
have to buy another one.
Right. Don't buy Skyrim. Like, play the original. If you have the original, play the original with graphics mods. But that's still like, that's no excuse for like the game getting re-released in the exact same state that it was in 10 years ago.
Right. It's what I'm getting to. It's just everything is a mess in Skyrim. The combat is a mess, in my opinion. The shields don't feel very good. There's really no parrying mechanic. I never really feel under threat. It's
Finishers are random.
Yep.
There's no way to trigger a finisher. It just happens.
And they don't feel good. They rip you from the game. They break your immersion.
Right. Why does my camera, when I'm performing a finisher, why in first person does the camera have to rip away to behind me to perform a finisher sometimes, and then other times not have to do that?
And in slow-mo.
Right. That's the same reason I don't use VATS in Fallout New Vegas or Fallout 3. VATS is a game-breaking, immersion-breaking experience.
Yeah. It can be. Depends on how you're playing, but yeah, I can see why. And to be fair, Dragon's Dogma has cinematic cameras, but you know when they're going to happen. In the heat
Right.
of a battle, you use an ability, your adrenaline is high, it increases that tension. Not at the end of a fight.
Right. Something I'm enjoying a lot about Final Fantasy VII, and, this is just little tiny tidbit, free camera.
Yep.
How hard is that? Free camera. Give me a free fucking camera to look around a little bit. I don't need my finisher to cut away between scenery to make it feel cinematic because I don't want the finisher to feel cinematic. I want the finisher to feel visceral.
Which would put it in like the middle of the combat. Oh, all of a sudden you do some crazy flourish because you threw your shield up, parried, and then he flourishes and hits 3 enemies.
Right. When you parry
That's how
an
you do
enemy
it.
in Dark Souls, you see the animation fluidity. It looks really good. It feels good. And it's so visceral. There's so much contact that you, as the player, feel like you made.
Even if you do it 1,000 times, it always feels good.
It's so satisfying.
Like when I was playing
There's not a
Elden
moment
Ring,
like that
oh, I
in
was
Skyrim. It's
so
so
good.
sad. Elden Ring is beautiful.
Oh
Oh,
my god. Like Dragon's Dogma is a 9 out of 10. Elden Ring is a 10 out of 10. Like I think Elden Ring is the reason why Dragon Dogma's score went down for me. I'm gonna be completely
Evergrace is
honest.
the best From Software game.
Ooh, Elden Ring is. Then it's
Yeah,
Sekiro.
I like Elden Ring for what it is. I still stand by Evergrace as just one of the best and most interesting games ever made.
This is how interesting Elder Scrolls is to us. We're talking about a completely different franchise.
Right, because it's easy to get off topic about something that is boring. That is these one word descriptions for games that I like to put out. Boring is the one word for Skyrim.
Mine's dull. It's just dull. It's a dull overall all around dull experience.
Right, adding some color and bloom didn't change that.
Nope. Although there is some mods to remove the blue hue and like reinvigorate the landscape. Very do. Because guess what? Snow doesn't reflect blue. It reflects reflections.
I can't even believe I'm saying this, but where a lot of Skyrim's falling shortcomings fall through is where Skyrim VR picks up the pace. The immersion is there in Skyrim VR. Even without having to put in the mods, like there are mods that definitely make the immersion a hell of a lot better. But with Skyrim VR, the immersion that the base game is lacking is already there. You feel everything.
I
It's visceral because of
completely
how you
disagree.
feel everything.
I completely disagree.
I don't know when the last time you played Skyrim VR was.
Like 3 days ago.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I was just playing it because my cousin was over and he wanted to see it. And I put like 4 hours into it.
See, I like how it doesn't cut away from you to do anything ridiculous. It doesn't change the world or how dull the world is, but at least the combat and the mechanics don't fall short. Don't fall nearly as short in VR as they
Completely
do.
disagree.
Just really?
Yes.
Man,
As
that's a trip.
vanilla Skyrim VR is like a 3 out of 10 for me. It is so fucking boring.
Oh my god, after Doom VFR, fucking the difference is night and day for me. Like easy 6 out of 10. It gets a 1 point a lead above the regular Skyrim because of the difference for me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It just felt like such a shill to me. Like just playing it, I was like, this is empty. This is nothing.
Just go play fucking Elden Ring or Blade and Sorcery. Don't even fuck with
Or
Skyrim.
Dragon's
It's not.
Dogma.
Go play Dragon's Dogma. Go play Final Fantasy Integrate just came out on Steam. Don't buy it for $80, but if you can get it for like a reasonable price, go fucking play that.
So much better. I meet all these people and I'm like, oh, what's your favorite game? And they're like Skyrim. I'm like, you're not a gamer. Like you're just not. Like that.
You're just not.
that
You put 100 and something out, a couple hundred hours in Skyrim. You play video games like once or twice a week. You're not a gamer. You don't play video games.
yeah, what's going on? And they're like, I don't know. It's like exactly.
Skyrim shouldn't be your standard for video games.
No.
If it is, broaden your freaking horizons.
Keep watching OmniaObscura and take our recommendations to play other
Yeah,
games.
let us broaden your horizons.
Let us open your eyes to mystery games that you've probably never heard of.
Let us inject our game sense into your daily routine. That's not a good way to say that.
That was weird. Skyrim VR, I mean, the spells don't feel very good. The archery doesn't feel very good. My
Oof.
swings don't feel visceral.
See, man, I totally disagree. I feel like every impact feels good. Archery's got a nice, decent arc to it. Like there's a lot that Skyrim VR does well for me.
Mm, I don't know. I feel like a sock'em bop'em robot with a sword.
What's the difference between that and Blade and Sorcery, though?
Comedy.
So just like yeet in a flying Thomas the Tank Engine. It's Skyrim.
But that's not Skyrim anymore. That's
Right.
mods.
At that point, you've busted the vanilla experience. It's not the same. Skyrim's vanilla experience, I guess, really, no matter how you twist it, is just mediocre.
I mean, if you want to talk about Skyrim VR modded, it's a 9 out of 10. It has some of the funnest mods. You can put
Right.
guns in it. You can just have a debug menu on your hand and just spawn armies in front of you. Like, there's a lot of stuff that's super fun about Skyrim modded. But as a vanilla experience, it's Scary's mod. There's nothing to
And
do.
we have come full circle. As of this moment, we have officially added nothing to the conversation. We've
Because
said
there's
the exact
nothing.
same things that everybody else has ever said about Skyrim who wasn't just a die-hard in love with it fanboy.
But I don't see that dichotomy. I don't see it on YouTube. I don't see it represented. I don't see it on Facebook. I don't see it in conversation. I either get Skyrim is the greatest RPG of all time or Skyrim is trash. I
Right.
never get the middle.
Right. But which is funny, right? Because people on both sides, the people who even are like Skyrim is awesome, will make that exact same point you just said. Vanilla Skyrim, not great. Skyrim with mods, much better. People who hate Skyrim say vanilla Skyrim, shit. Skyrim with mods, 10 out of 10, but it shouldn't be like that because the player shouldn't have to do the work.
Not only that, we're PC gamers. Other people aren't.
Right.
There are a lot of people with vanilla Skyrim experiences on Xboxes and PS3s and whatever. And those are the people I'm talking about. They love it. And I don't get it.
That's being stuck. That is stagnation at its finest.
Have you played Oblivion? No. You should play Oblivion. It's better. They go to play it. What do you mean I have to fix my stuff? What do you mean I have to sleep? What do you mean I have to eat? I have to make my own potions? This is
Oh my god,
stupid.
how do you level up?
Oh my god. Sleep in your bed.
Trying to explain how to level up to a noob Morrowind player. Jesus Christ.
It's awful. And I don't like when games you level up and then it just drags you into a menu because you leveled up. Fallout does this. I don't like it. It's immersion breaking.
Right. It stops the flow of the entire thing. You should be able to open that menu at your leisure.
Not even a menu. Do what Oblivion did. Go to your bed. Because it's an RPG. I'm supposed to be role playing. Dragon's Dogma doesn't let you just sleep anywhere. You have to go to the inn because your party also needs beds. You must pay for your party. They are pawns.
Wow.
You don't go
game
to
logic.
your house. If you go to your house, you can't sleep in your own bed. That is logical because what are your pawns going to do?
Whereas, like, in Skyrim, Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls in general, you could have 3 or 4 companions following you around and just sleep anywhere.
It doesn't
In the
make
middle of a
sense.
grass field, hit the wait button.
You want to know what game did this well, and you're going to hate me for this? Final Fantasy 15. Was it 15 or 10?
15 with the campsites.
Yeah.
But big disagree.
They worked
I
so good for me.
I thought just the act of driving to the campsite was immersion breaking.
I agree. I think you should have been able to set up camp anywhere.
You're right. Like that, staying at inns and shit was cool, but like the act of having to drive to specifically designated campsites was aggravating. It was immersion breaking. You already had to drive those slow ass cars. Even the slightly faster car is just that, slightly faster.
Because there's road speed limits and you can't break the law.
But kingdoms are literally falling apart. Noctis is the prince of a kingdom, and he is literally on the run. Why is it so hard to drive a little faster?
Right. There are a lot of flaws with 15. We'll get to that eventually. I'm sure when we talk about intergrade, we'll have a whole hour segment dedicated to how much we dislike 15.
But as far as Skyrim goes, do you have anything left to add? Because I sure as fuck don't.
I do. I have a lot to add. Skyrim, its opening scene is a meme because it was bad. That's what people need to understand. It's not comical because it's fading to Skyrim. No, it's fading to Skyrim because it was a bad introduction. That's the whole joke. It was bad. Your first introduction to the dragon, too fast, didn't need to happen. Would have been way better as just a civilian for a little bit, defending yourself, doing trading, and building to such a climatic situation.
Dragons in game. Dragons in game. A creature that's been extinct for God knows how long. There should really only be a select few of them, and there are like tons.
Yeah, because
there are tons.
Bethesda forgot that drakes exist and other forms of dragons exist. And instead of going down the list and being like, that's not a dragon, that's a wyvern, that's completely different, and just saying that to the player and making it clear that wyverns aren't dragons. But no, they fucked off and they made all the dragons wyverns, so when they call them a dragon, they're just wrong.
Alas, it is an Elder Scrolls game. You'll spend like 80% of your time fighting rats.
Facts. But they never leaned into what was good about Skyrim, and that is archery, magic, stealth. they never leaned into
Enchanting
it.
and spell making and alchemy are three incredible mechanics that have so much diversity in every game that's not Skyrim.
All I wanted was weapon breaking and maybe a hardcore mode, like a survivalist mode where you have to like build shelters and stuff throughout the map and
Fallout
make
New
sure you can
Vegas
get around.
Fallout New Vegas on hardcore mode, totally different game from playing regular New Vegas. Having to
Absolutely.
maintain your food, water, sleep, all of that shit is absolutely game changing.
We said this. Oh no, we didn't say this. Me and my ex might have said this on our old podcast. Fallout 4. If you're playing Fallout 4 without hardcore mode on, you're playing it wrong.
Right. Because at that point, you just are limiting your experience with the game. You're not playing it the way it was designed to be played.
It's the same thing with New Vegas. Like, if you're
It
not
is
playing a hardcore
made
mode, you're
to
playing
be
wrong.
survival, right? It is made to be a survival game. That's why the world is so empty. It's not just big and empty for no fucking reason. There's a lot of space to travel because your resource management is supposed to be important.
I would have loved mechanics in Skyrim where it's like you have to eat, sleep, drink,
You
have
have to
shelter.
you have to get prepared, setting yourself up for a long travel across the map. Yeah, with the right supplies and the right equipment. Getting yourself ready to make a long trek is what makes hardcore mode so interesting.
Dragon's Dogma, that's what it's all about. Your characters often say, make sure you have enough curatives with you. There are a lot of different sicknesses out there. You don't know which one's going to befall you. Be prepared. And that's what they constantly say. But in Skyrim, I don't feel that tension. I could just go I could get naked, stand on top of a snowy peak, and nothing changes.
Absolutely nothing. It's very sad.
Missed opportunity to really make the player feel like this is a world that will kill you. That you are not supposed to be leaving the city and fighting these things. Like, they never make you feel that way. You are
Right.
a god from the start of the game to the end of the game.
Right. And even people are like that. You be the level 1 dragonborn instantly kills a dragon at the beginning of the fucking game. Like,
Illogical.
illogical. You shouldn't be the most powerful creature in the world from the get-go. Like how you kill a dragon right at the beginning and then have a snow troll yeet you if you step up close to it.
And
Like
then
that's not difficulty, that's just cheese.
facts. But again, Dragon's Dogma. I know I keep bringing this up. Very first interaction with the dragon with your character. He beats your ass and eats your heart, kills half of your village, and you don't even apply damage to him. You can't even hurt him.
Right.
You are so weak. And he forces you into being an arisen. And being an arisen is a curse. You do not want to be an arisen. End of story.
Like if your hands weren't bound throughout the beginning of Skyrim, Alduin would be an incredibly easy takedown.
Yeah. Oh,
Because of
yeah.
how the game works, because of how enemies in the game work, Alduin would be an incredibly easy takedown.
You could give me a bow and I would have absolutely wrecked Eldwin. It's ridiculous. I don't see it. Every time anybody brings it up, I'm just like, what are you on about? It's not that good. Oh, well, you can have your own house and you can live in it. I'm like, so what? Fable 1 did that back in
Fucking
2008.
what is this Minecraft? You can build a house in Minecraft. That's more fucking exciting than that.
You could have children in Fable 1. You could literally be a father, and that could be your whole thing, is staying in this town, doing menial tasks, and raising children in Fable 1.
It's
You
a
could
role
literally
playing
play
game.
that.
It's a role playing game. You play a role that you would like to play. There's supposed to be expansion, whereas like every Elder Scrolls game. This isn't just a Skyrim flaw. Every Elder Scrolls game, no matter what class you play or what you do, is capable of doing everything.
Facts.
You can play through the whole Fighters Guild as a mage with no problems. You can play through the whole Mages Guild without ever casting a spell.
Dumb. It's dumb. Werewolves and vampires. Okay, yeah, they're a part of the lore. I get that. The segments were okay. Who the fuck likes being a vampire in Oblivion or Skyrim? Be honest.
I don't think it's a matter of liking to be a vampire. I think it's punishment.
my god, but it's so bad.
Yeah, it is and the quest to cure vampirism being broken across the board in every Elder Scrolls game,
Bad.
unacceptable. The fact that you cannot undo the worst possible thing in the game.
And
Most of the time, it just doesn't work.
I point everybody to the Oblivion episode where I literally go off because the vampire bug is still in the game to this day.
Right. It's same with Skyrim. The Skyrim and Oblivion have both had updates in recent years.
Just cure it.
So why are those bugs still there?
Just cure it. Just cure it. Just have it so there's an apothecary that you have to go to and they cure you of it. Just do
Why
that.
hasn't the UESP already been officially fucking integrated?
I
Why
don't
haven't
know.
those bug fixes already been implemented into the base game? Why didn't that happen with Skyrim Anniversary Edition? You know, I bought Skyrim Anniversary Edition expecting maybe some bug fixes, only to find out you can still jump out of Whiterun.
Yep. Oh, don't even get me into the cheese of stealing and all that stuff. It's just
Merchant's chests under the world for the win. Start the game rich because it's just so broken. You can't do anything. That's why I like having the Open Cities mod because you can't do that. But also, that's a mod. It doesn't have any bearing on the vanilla game and the quality of that. And you know what? The more I talk about it, the more I hate Skyrim.
you should hate Skyrim. It's not that good. Everybody should be like, this is not up to par with the quality and standards that we expect. This game is bad.
Also, can I just be like for a second? I know Elder Scrolls sequels are typically a century or so apart from each other. But could the Mythic Dawn not have gotten a little bit more attention considering they almost destroyed the world and unleashed Mehrunes Dagon?
Right.
Like, why is there only one guy from the Mythic Dawn in the entirety of Skyrim?
Dude, if you're just getting into like timeline issues that make no sense, things that exist in the world that make no sense.
What the fuck are the Hag Ravens? Why do they suddenly exist in a world where they have absolutely no reason to exist?
It's just nonstop with this. Nonstop. It's just constantly
Eh.
more bullshit. And it doesn't work. There's no philosophy, there's no psychology, there's no deeper understanding. I don't care about the Dragonborn. I don't care about the Civil War. I don't care about the dragon because the way I see the game, if I do nothing, nothing happens.
This is for Todd Howard directly. It does not just work. Have a little fucking quality control.
I mean, you could just ride the horses straight up the mountain vertically. How do
Yeah.
you think that's okay?
Why can I spam jump up a mountain? Up a crucial game mountain where you wouldn't be able to get normal. Why can I spam jump past all of the whirlwind sprint segments?
Because it
Why has
just
that not been
works.
fixed yet? It just works. It just doesn't work. Okay, Hod Towered, you fucking need to get your teams in order. And I hope to hell Starfield isn't this broken and this avoidable.
They did so good with Prey. Prey was great.
They did so good with Fallout 4.
Yeah. I mean, not really. It's got a lot of the same pitfalls.
I I I think that's something that somebody who only played through like the main story would say.
Oh no, I've replayed that game quite a few times. I just think it's not as good as people make it out to be.
I don't think it's as good as New Vegas.
No, it's not even as good as
Definitely
three.
not.
It's not even as good as three.
They don't 3 and 4 don't even hold a candle to New Vegas.
Three
But that's
does,
just me. No, it doesn't.
in
No, it
my
doesn't. Liam
opinion.
Neeson is not my father.
But I think we already did an episode on this.
Liam Neeson is not my father.
Fallout 3 was good. Go replay it. That's all I'm
Yeah, it
saying.
was. It was a good game.
Like it's 7 out of 10. Like its philosophy and psychology
Yeah.
and how it makes you think is really good. Fallout New Vegas does it better. Tiers above better.
Fallout New
They're
Vegas,
different games.
not even for like philosophy's sake. Fallout New Vegas just from like a writer's standpoint is an easy 9 out of 10, but you couple that in with the gameplay and the faithfulness to the original 2 Fallout games, easy 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
Like
I mean, Fallout New
it's a
Vegas in
fan
my
game.
book, All of New Vegas in my book is an easy 9 out of 10. Only because, like I said, it has some pitfalls. Getting a 10 out of 10 for me is going to probably
It's
take a while.
I think it's a AAA fan game that they made in 9 months. That's where it gets the 10 out of 10 for
Oh,
me because of how
absolutely
much is there
insane.
for the sheer short amount of time that they had.
Insane. You're 100% correct. It's insane what they were managed to pull off. But then
Yeah.
I look at something like Outer Worlds, and I like Outer Worlds, but God, it's so empty and bare and boring and corporatocracy and
There's really only
ugh,
one thing to see per planet.
one town.
Yeah, there's like there 1 or 2 per planet, if that. Not very many planets. The DLC, the best part of the Outer Worlds,
Is that the
hands down.
Gorgon
Yeah.
or Perils of Gorgon? I haven't played that yet. Uh, it's just Oblivion. I'm sorry, Skyrim just did nothing. The
Moro
advanced
Sky
games.
Blithewind did nothing.
And it is a good engine, and sure, there are some good things about it. You know, we have Skywind and Sky Oblivion being
All right,
produced, but like,
I gotta stop you. As somebody who's spent an ungodly amount of hours in the creation kit, creation is not a good engine.
oh no,
It is not a good engine. There is nothing good about it. The memory optimization is fucking dog water. Using the engine itself in-house controls suck. It is so hard to navigate and figure out. Just loading a world space is one of the worst possible things you could do. I feel so bad for anybody anywhere who spends time developing shit in Creation Kit. You are a real trooper because there is no way that shit would fly in an Unreal or a Unity or even a Stride 3D environment.
oh, absolutely not.
The cheating ways that it works, the dumb coding, the really simplified keywords, the bad ways that animation is handled during cutscenes and transition segment, the whole thing. Creation is a bad engine.
Facts, facts. That's Gamebryo, right? Creation engine.
Yeah, it's Gamebryo. It's a Gamebryo fork, and it is so bad. It is ungodly bad. The original Gamebryo was better.
And people wonder why every game's made in fucking Unity these days.
Hey guys, go try Copper Cube.
Copper Cube's great. It
Pretty
just
good.
needs a big update.
Yeah,
It needs like
Nico's working hard. He's hard at work.
I think Copper Cube has a lot of potential to be a great engine. But right now I'm sitting on Unreal 5. Like Unreal 5 is looking pretty damn good. And RE Engine and CryEngine have been pretty
RE,
insane.
RE Engine is the most visually advanced engine on the planet. It's so gorgeous. There's not a bad looking game to come out of it so far.
We'll see what they do with Fox Engine. Let's hold our breath for a little bit.
Well, it's got Kojima though. That's not fair.
It is fair.
That's not fair. Nothing is fair. But you can't put anything up against Hideo Kojima. Come on, now that's not fair. That's not fair to anything.
Like I understand he's a god of game creation, but like, come on, man.
It's not even just being a god of game. Look at like Metal Gear Solid 3 came out in 2002.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good argument. Kojima's literally a god. And it's not fair.
It's not. There's nothing fair about that.
I don't even know like how he does it. Passion? He just has people with passion on his side? I don't get it.
He's a badass director. He goes in and instead of shitting on everybody's ideas, goes, yeah, I wonder how we could build on that.
Yeah, he's a good person. We love good people here on the Omni.
He's the freaking Gordon Ramsay of video games.
Except he doesn't scream and abuse his workers.
Right. And even, well, Gordon Ramsay doesn't abuse his workers. He's loud, but he's always after the fact, like, you guys are kick ass. You're so awesome. You're good human beings.
Yeah. I don't know if that's everywhere because I have seen some testimonies that disagree, but for the most part, I agree.
He hates customers coming up to the kitchen. They're like, if you are a customer in a restaurant anywhere, don't walk up to the kitchen. That annoys the shit out of any chef, right? You do not have the entitlement to walk up to the chef and talk about your food. Hand your shit back to the server. They will handle it. If you don't like it, even as a paying customer, don't go insult the chef. right? You have the maitre d', the waiter, pass on your comments to the chef, right? Because chances are the chef doesn't give a shit what you think. You're helping nobody, and you're just making other people's food come out like garbage.
Mind
It's the
you,
same thing with video games. Same thing with video games. If somebody has an idea, don't fucking shut it down. Don't just be like, no, that's bad. Look at it, examine it for a second. And if don't just go up to the director with your idea and be like, we have to do this. Because chances are that's going to get shot down. If you don't want to get shot down, be fucking constructive. Provide something of worth. Get your opinions passed on in a way that's not interfering with the director's job.
I really appreciate
It's a
everything
two-way
you're
street.
saying. I really do appreciate everything you're saying because as a writer, a lot of my ideas get stepped on pretty aggressively
Right.
and rewritten, and it's like that's like let's say I have like this super psychological meaning behind what I'm writing, and it's this very important understanding for a character to develop their political ideologies
But when you
or
make a game with a team
ideologies.
that's not working together, like, you end
Yeah,
up with a fucking you end up with a disaster, an unmitigated disaster.
one might
That's
say a
exactly what Skyrim
Skyrim.
feels like. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I
Took
was
us a while to
saying,
get back to that.
when you're writing and they're walking on your ideas and things like that, and you're setting up these characters for very specific things, when it's changed and rewritten and put into the game, they lose that kind of stuff. They lose the psychological and the philosophical and the theological. And then it ends up feeling either panhandled or ham fisted or fake.
Right. That in and of itself is immersion breaking. Even in an old ass game like the original Resident Evil, the bad dialogue isn't enough to break the immersion as much as some of the garbage interruption that Skyrim pulls.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I can't even begin. Like, I hate when a quest is like, oh, you finished the quest, and then you go back and they're like, I need you to do one more step. And it's like, bro, I just walked 41 miles to get back here, and you want me to go back to the cave? Skyrim does that all the time.
Can I be the guy to point out that the Daedric Artifacts achievement on consoles and PC is still broken 10 years later, and getting all of the Daedric Artifacts does not guarantee you get the achievement for getting all of the Daedric Artifacts? That's hundreds of hours.
So dumb. And all it is a trigger queue. It's a check on a hexadecimal scale, and then it triggers an achievement. That's it.
Right. But because of how event registering works in creation, because of how shit of an engine it is, it just doesn't register sometimes. Just picking up an item and having it in your inventory doesn't register it as an item in your inventory, which is bad.
Not good. Is that why you can just manipulate the IDs of items in the game?
Right. Yeah, that is exactly it because they're just numbers. That was why save games were deleting themselves because it works the exact same garbage way. Items are all handled by numbered ID and they're easily manipulatable and none of them register properly. You can absolutely fuck yourself playing the Elder Scrolls for hundreds of hours just to have something that is crucial that should have happened not happen.
But they have time to do all of these hidden quests, and they magically work perfectly fine with no bugs.
Right, but the main story, the main side quest lines, none of that shit is refined at all. None of it.
All right. Closing thoughts on Skyrim.
It's bad. Don't play it. It's not worth it. 10 years later, it is such a bad game. Even if you like Skyrim, why are you still playing it? Haven't you put in thousands of hours enough? Well, there are other better, bigger games out there. Expand your horizons. Nobody needs to play Skyrim anymore. Just don't. Once upon a time, Skyrim was really good. This is not that time anymore.
I disagree with that end statement. I don't think Skyrim was ever that good.
Once upon a time, Skyrim was good enough to warrant playing once. Now is not that time anymore.
Oh, interesting. So I already said 3 out of 10. This is not an amazing RPG. This is not a fun RPG. It's so shallow and pandering to the player, and it feels so worn out just from the get go and
I
uninspired.
stand I stand with my 5 out of 10 because I can see the appeal to some people, and I can see for myself why I enjoy killing time with it, but that ultimately is just what it
I don't
is a
have
time
time for
kill.
that shit. I don't have
Yeah,
time for
you
it.
not everybody has time for that shit.
I don't have time to run from one town to another just to be told I have to go back. I just I uh, the entirety of the beginning of the game, bullshit. It doesn't feel important. It's uninspired. There's nothing going on. It does not utilize the Elder Scrolls lore properly. The character designs are daft and not uninteresting. The spells are boring. Weapons don't
And it has
break. Armor
it
doesn't
has
break.
the smallest vocal diversity of any of the Elder Scrolls games. Just comparing it to itself, the voice acting is so lackluster and repetitive.
Loading screens don't work. The music is very good, and then it's really bad. Like, I don't get it. I don't see it. I've played the game enough times at this point to know Skyrim is not for me. It is the worst Elder Scrolls there is. Hands down, Arena was better. No, Daggerfall was better. Morrowind was better. Oblivion was better. Skyrim was literally the dumpster fire of that franchise.
Right. The fucking side games, the Elder Scrolls Legends side games like Battlespire and Redguard are better.
They have better stories.
Yeah. Even their gameplay even a little bit, it feels more purposeful. There's more if there's actual impact in those games.
Oh, and you want to know how you could have made Skyrim better, Mister Hod Towered? Hammerfell would have been incredible. We've only been begging for it for going on 30 years. We want to go
Right,
to
yeah.
Hammerfell. We want to see Hammerfell. That's it.
Elder Scrolls Online drops DLC literally constantly. Always feeding DLC into the machine.
I played them all.
Hammerfell, no love. No love for Hammerfell.
I've played all of the Elder Scrolls Online ESO. I don't like it. I think the game was bad, ham-fisted, bad, not fun,
It's a typical MMO with a first person view.
so dull,
Right.
so dull. It, Skyrim's hit registry is bad. Like sometimes you just start beating an enemy and they don't take damage, and then all of a sudden they're dead. The ragdolling, it's a meme. It breaks my immersion. It's not fun. How many fucking skeletons can you fight?
How many shouts can you do? You know, shouting actually physically gives me a headache.
The
The
shouts
shouts
are
in
so dumb.
Skyrim physically give me a headache. I can't stand listening to that shit. You'll never see me force push somebody or use shouts because they're just annoying.
And they're useless.
Whirlwind Sprint, you have to use once, and that's it.
It's just blink. Just say what it is. It's blink.
Blink is flit. It's vampire flitting.
All shouts were what was their other game with them? Dishonored. It was Dishonored magic.
Yeah, Dishonored
Boring.
was bad.
You think Dishonored was bad?
Yeah, I think Dishonored was bad. I also thought Thief was bad. That's not a Bethesda game, but it came out around the same time Dishonored did. Those two games kind of tied in, went hand in hand with each other. If you were playing one, you were playing the other, and they were both really bad.
And I don't want to hear Skyrim VR is better. Over it. It's a 3 out of 10. It's not that good. It's like Borderlands 2 VR. It's still boring.
Yeah, like I think Borderlands 2 VR's gameplay is better, but no matter how you spin it, Borderlands is boring as fuck.
It's just there's so many better ways to handle RPGs. Stick to high fantasy. High fantasy at least works.
I said it once, I'll say it again. Go play Evergrace.
Go play Dragon's Dogma. Go play
Play
Elden
Dragon's
Ring.
Dogma. Go
Oh,
play literally anything else. Just
Dark
literally
Souls
anything. Don't
2.
even play an RPG. Don't even play an RPG. Go back and play something retro. Go play literally anything that's not fucking Skyrim. Never, just don't play Skyrim. It's dead. It's a dead meme. Can we let it die and move the fuck on?
No, we can't, because the people who
We
love
can,
it will buy everything for it.
yeah, and they'll die hard for it for the rest of it. So they're like me in Resident Evil 4. They'll buy it 10,000 more times before Capcom realizes that nobody wanted that. No,
Everybody wants Code Veronica. Just get it over
right.
with.
Where the fuck is Code Veronica? It's so essential. Why would you just skip over it?
I will take a half-baked attempt at a Code Veronica game at this point. Just
There he
make it.
goes. Talking about Silent Hill again.
Yeah, where's my Silent Hill 1 remake, Konami? You pieces of shit.
It was on the PSP, and then it was canceled and became Silent Hill Origins.
Great, wonderful, thanks. So excited.
Literally a meme.
Everybody gets mad at Nintendo for canceling all these fan projects. Konami has literally filed a bunch of lawsuits against modders.
I'm less mad
Nintendo's
at
a king.
Nintendo. I'm less mad at Nintendo for canceling fan projects and more mad at Nintendo for taking 15 years, 16 years to develop a 2D Metroid game that was worse than their last Metroid game. Other M was such a good game, and it got shit on pretty hard. And Metroid Dread's not very good. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if you've seen gameplay for, but it's not very
Oh,
good.
I own
By
it.
today's standards, it is absolute dog water. How did a game like that come out come out so recently and still get so much praise?
No idea, dude.
It was name alone. It's name alone with Nintendo. That's how I feel.
I don't like Nintendo. I've made that very clear on this podcast. I don't like Nintendo.
Liking Nintendo at this point is like just talking about Skyrim. It's just like you like it for the sole fact that it has the name it has, and that is it. I'm convinced there's nothing else, because if you genuinely enjoy it, you've never played any other video games.
Pretty much. Like, I hate to keep bringing up Dragon's Dogma, but 2012, bro.
2012. 2012 Dragon's Dogma
2012.
came out. It's as big as Elden Ring.
Like, what? No, Elden Ring's bigger. Dragon's Dogma is
Barely.
just interesting. It has
Dragon's
the same
Dogma is
interest.
pretty fucking large. It is pretty big.
Very empty too, though.
So is Elden Ring, though.
So is Skyrim.
Like, you know how many grace sites in Elden Ring have absolutely nothing at them?
A lot.
A lot.
I don't know. Skyrim is just... I'm not in the hate department of this game's the worst game ever. Why would you play it? Blah, blah. Like, no, it has value.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
I would say play it. Like, don't
I
expect
mentioned the other
much,
day,
but play it.
I tweeted the other day, I was thinking about Diablo Immortal and how it broke the record for the worst rated game on Metacritic ever.
Right.
And I got to thinking to myself, okay, bad game, really horrible. The things they've done, atrocious. But when I really think about something that makes the worst game ever made, I think of Ride to Hell Retribution. And nothing has ever been worse than that.
Right. Big Reagan. Over the road, Big Reagan.
Big Rigs Over the Road Racing at least is fucking funny. Ride to Hell Retribution is just offensive.
It wasn't funny when it was sold at full price on store shelves.
It was fucking hilarious, especially with shit like Your Winner and driving backwards at 10,000 miles an hour. You can't tell me that shit wasn't a masterpiece.
Hysterical.
Desert Bus is a good ass game in comparison with something like Ride to Hell Retribution.
Well, at least there's like, again, a philosophy and a psychology behind Desert Bus. It has a reason for existing.
Right.
It's art. That's the whole point.
Desert Bus is better than Skyrim.
Yeah, I mean, in some regards, yes.
Gotta just call the name of this episode, We Crap on Skyrim for an hour.
But yeah, at the end of the day, I don't think I'll ever have a Skyrim playthrough on my channel. I'll have Fallout I already have Fallout playlists. Actually, I have a Fallout 3 and a Fallout New Vegas playlist, I believe. Just nothing. If somebody can do like a hardcore mode, build camps, you know, that kind of stuff, Skyrim could be a very interesting game. Bleeding effects, not being a
Yeah, the
god.
mods make it fucking incredible, but the game itself, just by itself, garbo.
Once
Pretty
again,
bad.
at the end of the podcast, we say, switch to PC. What are you doing?
Yeah, if
Switch to
you're still on a
PC.
console, get the fuck off of there. What are you doing?
There's just so much better. There's so much more. It's not worth it. Please come to the PCMR for your benefit.
And
Name a good
don't play
game real quick.
Skyrim. Oh yeah, let's end this off naming name a good game. Tony Hawk's Underground.
That is a very good game. Great
Yeah.
comedy. Very do. I'm gonna say Dark
Good
Souls
alternate
3.
ending. Dark Souls 3 is super due. Very good game.
Beautiful. Very visceral. Impactful.
Like 1,000 times better than Skyrim at 1/4 the amount of hours.
Dark Souls 3 is great. Go play Dark Souls 3. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Subscribe.
You think we're gonna get shit on for this episode?
Eh. Probably.
Might go viral.
We shit on the Skyrim hot take. I don't even think it's really a hot take. Honestly, like if you read the Steam reviews, it's different than watching videos where people love it or hate it directly. You read the Steam reviews and people are like, Skyrim by itself, shit. Skyrim with mods, good.
That's the end of the video.